welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I'm Nick McDaniel. He's Myron Fancher. How the heck are you, buddy?
I'm very excited. My favorite pay-per-view of the year, the Royal Rumble, is this weekend. And we received a fine award for being the best-looking men in your headphones. So it's another honorable day to podcast for all our hosts, all our friends, all our families. And where can you find us?
Well, man, look, this week specifically, dude, patreon.com/tappedoutpod. I recorded, prior to us getting around to it, Heath and I recorded 3 pieces of content. That's right. And if you were a Patreon member, you'd already have 2 of them. Because one was the early episode. It's the Tapped In show. You would have gotten tomorrow's episode today. And then on the $10 level, there was a bonus thing where we talked about the awards and the banquet and everything that we went to. So that was there. And then, of course, there's the Georgia Wrestling Spotlight, which is free, by the way. Free, but it is exclusive to patreon.com/tappedoutpod. So, yeah, there was a lot of stuff just kind of dumped this morning. And, and tomorrow, it was a lot, dude. It was a lot of stuff going on. So there was a lot to unpack there, and we literally just like, hey, this is going to be easier just to spread this across, so it actually made it a little bit easier. So, but you brought it up, dude. So before we jump ahead to the Rumble, because we're going to talk a lot about the Rumble, Saturday night main event just kind of, happened. We were Pro Wrestling Aggression, so we were at a show Saturday. I had to remember where I was even at on Saturday. So we missed Saturday night main event live, had to catch it later on the Peacock, on the replay. Just first, general basic thoughts.
I came home. I watched some of it after the awards banquet on Sunday. I think it's nostalgic. I love the pull-down microphone. I love Lillian Garcia in the beautiful dress. I loved having Jesse the Body Ventura there the first night. I'm tired of him now. Jesse the Body Ventura, where Mean Gene used to be, and Joe Tessitore, where Mean Gene used to be, worked really great for me for a while. I like that. What do they call it now? The Okerlund position instead of the gorilla position. I liked them doing that. I liked all that kind of stuff. I don't like watching on Peacock as much as I like watching on Netflix. I think the playback is smoother. One of the few contract signings I've ever enjoyed, Nick.
Yeah, they typically don't do a lot of that. So real quick, overall thoughts, kind of the same. I felt it was the weakest of the ones they've done up to this point. And, obviously there's only been a couple, right? But it just felt like a hyped up Raw / Smackdown. But you know what? Listen, folks. It is probably, but it is a very casual audience, Saturday night crowd, get more kids involved, all that kind of stuff. But
it was as good, but was it gooder? It had a lot of title matches. Okay, I can get that on Raw. It had an absolute beat down on Braun Breaker put there on poor old Braun Strowman, not Braun Breaker. Jesus Christ, Jacob Fatu put on Braun Strowman. Sorry for the mistake, folks. That was brutal. Could we have seen that on Raw? Probably. Was it all in one place? Yes. Maybe it's like a condensed episode of Raw. Maybe you got.
Listen, it's drawing about what SmackDown's getting on USA. I think this past one got like 1.4 million, 1.5 million
on a Saturday night.
So not a terrible thing. Very casual audience. I think at this point they're serving that NBC Universal master and having to give them content, and I think that's just kind of why we're getting what we're getting. I mean, I don't think on a regular basis. Now, 2 reasons why. I think it also being so close to the Rumble, you weren't going to get anything earth shattering. But I think when you get one, eventually there's some I think there's one. What was the one in July? It'll probably it'll be close to SummerSlam, depending on when the date for SummerSlam is. Yeah, I think if you have a bigger gap between it and a PLE, I think you're probably going to see more of a thing. But look, you brought up the contract signing, so let's get to it.
Ooh.
It was really cool. I will say this. It was funny. Conrad and Jeff Jarrett were talking about something on their podcast that really tickled me a little bit. And what they were talking about is, Jeff Jarrett gets on, AEW television. And I think you may have played, you asked me this off of the air. He mentions he wants to be the world champion. And a lot of people groaned. And a lot of people were like, he's old. He's and listen, and here's Conrad's take. So listen, and it's a very good take. So a guy who signed his last professional wrestling talent contract went on TV in said promotion and said, before I hang it up, man, I really want to be the world champion. Isn't that what he should say? Like he wants to be like.
Why
he
keep
wants to
doing it if you don't want to be the champion?
And then, so a lot of people were like, boo, he's old, he's whatever. But on Saturday Night Main Event, a 59-year-old Shawn Michaels super kicked the guy wrestling for the WWE title on Saturday and left him laying. And we didn't get that backlash. Does that make this just comes back to like, hey, if we're going to criticize one, how about we criticize? Because here's the crazy part. Jeff and Shawn, they were kind of boys back in the day. Like they were running buddies.
It was something I read last week. People love the WWE right now because it's a soap opera. It's a storyline. Jeff Jarrett is a soap opera storyline guy. Jeff Jarrett is a product of that era where people tuned in to see. People tune in to see what happens with these characters every week. That's not typically what happens in AEW. Those people want to see matches and things like that. So when a guy as Jeff Jarrett's age says, I want to be champion one more time, it's not the kind of thing they want to hear. In WWE, it probably would have sold better because it would have been built and they do that kind of thing.
Here's the thing. It's not. I don't necessarily think the backlash was AEW fans. I think it was WWE diehard fans that were like, "Oh, Jeff Jarrett, he's old."
But if that had happened in WWE, the WWE diehard fans would have not done the same thing.
I agree. Guarantee. That's where I'm getting at.
Because everybody is so tribal about everything. It's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like AEW. I'll just say it. But do I go out there and bash these people all the time? Do I spend my time on social media complaining about it? No. Do I say your wrestling sucks? No. I've got other things I do with my time, like eat a sandwich or take the dog out.
Well,
or try to manage myself.
I mean, I was just trying to drive home the point that that's where we are. That it kind of just struck me as odd, and I think it's very odd. But listen, anytime Shawn Michaels is involved, I'm in. I don't care. I'm a Shawn Michaels fan, have been forever. So I'm all about it. You brought up look, we talked a little bit before. Braun Strowman absolutely just destroyed by Jacob Fatu. Little disappointed we didn't get an ending. Does that make like we didn't get a win? Like I wish we had gotten. I almost went, if you were going to do that, beat him and then have him just destroy him afterwards, whatever. Because we still kind of have the out, like he didn't actually beat him.
Well, I mean, how much can you build Jacob Fatu? How much can you build him? Is he in the Rumble? Let me look who's declared here on my little Rumble.
Yeah, he's going to be in the Rumble. There's no way he's not. They're that deep. But here's my style. We've talked about this. I can't remember if we talked about this on the air or not. Jacob Fatu with his I think it was on Smackdown, the little walk to the ring. I was like, dude, his charisma is kind of catchy.
Yeah.
They need to be super careful because it might have been in the car. We had this conversation and it was like,
oh yeah. It was the three of us.
And it was like, Solo may have to like lick his wounds and go back to Roman, and Jacob might be the guy that's now like the next wave of challenging Roman Reigns or something like that because Jacob's a star.
He seems to me like that bad guy from The Lion King, and he's got that hyena around him. He's got that evil bit. He's got Tama Tonga as his henchman.
There's one drawback, and there's only one major drawback to what they're doing. Did you notice those people cheering him as he beat the tar out of Braun Strowman? That's a problem, folks. Like, if you want him to be unhinged and a crazy mad dog werewolf heel or whatever he's going for, those fans are cheering. That's a problem.
You're sick. You're sick people. He's a heel. He's a heel.
But this is where I disagree a little bit. But then don't do those cool promos walking to the ring. There's a lot of a younger fan base that heard that, like, that it was very hip hop, like, catchy little promo walking to the ring, and the fans are like, hell yeah. And I'm like, you got to be careful. Like, we always talk about real heels. You have to make it where you don't have any redeeming qualities, because the problem is, listen to me, I'm telling you, I think he's cool. I think he's charismatic. I love the rap. I love the whole thing coming to he's a badass. Clearly, he manhandled Braun Strowman. Like, y'all are inadvertently creating a massive babyface.
I thought Strowman was on this big tick upwards. I thought they were bringing Strowman back and they were going to do great things with his career. He was doing popular bits. Wasn't he working with Otis and those guys?
Turned on a dime, baby. It's a business. It turns on a dime. And he got, like we were saying, he got fed to him, and that was just crazy.
Might as well put him in a lunchbox, for Christ's sake. That was insane.
Yeah, it was rough.
But it's working. All of this is working. They've sold, how many tickets did they sell for the Rumble, Nick?
Well, we'll get to that in a minute. But for the Saturday night main event, they sold 15,493.
For a Saturday night main event.
That's what I'm saying. It was a lot, dude. It was, and you're like, but before we move on to the Rumble, I do want to ask you real quick. Did you like the move of not having Jay win the title against Gunther?
Yeah, because you have to have Gunther with the title to have somebody that you want to challenge for it. You can't have in my opinion, if you're going to have two belts, you need one belt on a heel, one belt on a face, so that when the guy wins the Royal Rumble, you don't have to say, well, we have to have a heel win or we have to have a face win. Because if Seth Rollins wins and it's Cody and and Jey Uso, if we're going to keep Seth Rollins a face, what are we going to do? So I like having a heel in the face.
That's what's funny. I argue, is he a face really?
I hate tweeners.
I was like, yeah.
Well, when Gunther came out last night, Gunther made him a face.
Daddy did. That is true.
Gunther did a really good job making him a face, because Gunther's promos are killing it now.
Well, and also when the Logan Paul thing happened, it clearly set up like he was more babyface than he. So he was out there with two heels, is what it felt like at that point. Yeah. Of course, Logan Paul doesn't. He's a heel regardless, so it doesn't really matter.
Here it is. Not only Logan Paul can we give you this giant check, we can get you on TV and get you ready to do all this publicity for your big boxing match with your brother, and we're going to just give you sacks of money. Everyone's going to give you sacks of money.
Here's the irony. What if, because he's in the Rumble, it's February 1st, March 27th or 17th? It's his fight. That was a question.
Oh, the 27th. Sorry.
Okay. So what if, God forbid, he gets into the Rumble and tears a shoulder, pops a knee out, something like that? Like, I could get it, because there was a whole, like, here's the other thing I want to ask you about Logan Paul. There was this rumor going around that he was like, he wanted WWE, TKO, whatever, to give him like $250 million, or he was going to go off and do this fight with Conor McGregor, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, look, it might be true. It would not surprise me, because he's going to make a ton of money if it happens. But my argument is, I think he's smarter than that and just realizes, like, they're not paying me $250 million. And TKO would probably go work the fight. It's even more publicity for us.
Yeah. And also, you know how to stay in shape? Wrestle. Train. You can do all this stuff, prep, stay in shape. And on top of it,
but you cannot wrestle and be training for a fight. There's absolutely
but you're on
no
TV.
Way.
You're on TV nonstop too. But what is the fight going to be a shooter or work? I mean, if he loses, all his credibility.
Did you see Tyson and Jake Paul? What do you think?
What
So
channel is it on? It's on Max. Is it on the Potter Max I get already?
who? The Tyson fight? That was
No,
Netflix.
the Jake Paul, Logan Paul fight. It's on Max.
Yeah.
I can watch that. Okay, I'll probably watch it. Will it be as
Anyway,
big a work?
it's going to be about the same, and they're going to make a ton of money, and they get to pocket it all because they own the production company. Both of them are fighting. They're just going to keep all the money. But speaking of money, let's get into it, man. For the big chunk of this week, Royal Rumble is this Saturday. You brought it up. They have sold over 60,000 tickets per WrestleTix, highest drawing Rumble in WWE history. And here's the thing: there isn't really a reason other than the WWE's that hot right now to even, in my opinion, by the way, tappedoutpod@gmail.com, send the hate mail. There's no other reason why this card would draw anything out. Like the Rumble has become like Mania, where the Rumbles is draw. The Rumble matches are the draw.
Well, look. They and WWE is booking these cards the exact. Let me look at the official card here.
It's in the notes too.
You roll down. I thought I had it in my notes too. So we go back here. They've got the best matches. They've got the Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens match. How insane can you get with that?
See, here's the thing. I would push back on you. That's a lazy booking match. You're protecting either guy with a loss with a ladder match, because then neither one of them's got to get pinned to lose. So let me ask you that: is that a way potentially for Cody to actually lose this title? Because he could lose it without being pinned. If he loses, does he enter the Rumble later in the night and try to win again? You know my answer to that is, please God, no. We cannot stomach Cody Rhodes winning for a third year.
No, no. How is the order on the card?
Typically they end with the men's Rumble. Typically, because you got to have the shot, the guy on the corner pointing to a WrestleMania sign and all that kind of stuff. You got to have that moment. Right? I mean, that happens every year, so you got to have it. So my thing is do you do the tag match to open the card, do the women's, do Cody and Kevin, and then do the men's Rumble?
I think the women's is going to main event, to be honest with you. If I were to book it, I would book it. My prediction, it's going to be women. No, sorry, let me do that. Tag team, women, Cody for men. So sorry. Tag team men's. Oh, I can't get this right at all. Screw it.
I'm thinking it's tag team. It's tag team women, Cody Owens men's main event. That's what I think they're going to do. If I had to guess,
because you're going to try to make sure Cody. I'm trying to make sure. Now
hold
Cody
on.
And Owens
let's backpedal up
after.
Hold on. We'll backpedal this. We could always say this. The women's have led before. They could open the show with the women, do the tag match, then do the Cody Owens match, and then do you could start. You can bookend the show with the Rumble matches. Women lead off, and then you go all the way to the end and have the men in. Because I think, like I said, I just think you almost always, if you had somebody like Rhea Ripley who's so hot right now in the women's, they're going to win, they're going to point, we're going to get that moment, cool. This year, I think all of the stock, the curiosity, and everything is in the men's. And as far as who's going to win, I think there's
Go ahead.
No, I just think the pool of the women who I think is going to win is much smaller than the pool of men that I think have a legit opportunity, chance to win.
I think the men's Rumble is going to be more surprising on who wins. I think the women's Rumble is going to be more surprising on who enters. There's going to be more women's surprises because there's more spots.
Because they're not as deep.
Rumble.
Right.
The men's Rumble has too many talented people ready to go right now.
Mm-hmm.
The only surprises I think are going to be in the men's is going to be really Joe Hendry. I think you're going to see an impact on the pay-per-view. I think you're really going to see Masa Slamovich for the women, Joe Hendry for the men. The rest of the men, I don't think there's going to be any other big surprises. There's going to be a comeback of some kind.
I mean, we gypped around. I think Matt Cardona does. I'm still sticking with my Matt Cardona showing up.
Okay, Matt Cardona is a good choice.
Yeah.
That's your comeback, and then you'd get Tajiri or something like that. Tajiri's
I don't
always a
even.
good choice.
Yeah, that's a yeah. But with the women's, look at one point we thought Charlotte. She's declared now,
Yeah,
so she's not going to be a surprise. So like you said, I don't know, man. I don't
Becky.
look. Maybe you get a Becky. Maybe you get a Trish Stratus, or maybe you get a Michelle McCool, something to that effect. You get what? See, they're going to pull back. There's a big rumor that Nikki Bella will do a run in.
Oh
It's
my God, Melissa is making me watch this
the
show when
Traitor.
I go upstairs called The Traitor, and
Yeah.
that's not only the biggest, absolute biggest pile of dog crap I've ever seen. Nikki Bella's on it.
Yeah.
And she's like thinking through situations and stuff. It's like, I don't picture you as this, Nikki. I picture you as John Cena's woman, and I picture you as one of the Bella twins. But
Well, listen, she's in this match, and the rumor was it's basically to keep her. There was a rumor she was going to sign with AEW because because of Brian, Danielson, So you start backing it around, and it's like, hey, just have her do an appearance, have her do whatever, blah 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 blah. Bippity boppity boom. She comes back and gets like a Legends deal or something with us, and she can still go off and do all of her other stuff that she wants to do or whatever. So, and every occasionally they can roll her out there and have her wrestle somebody, that she wants.
and she goes to work for AEW. They call her by her original name. I don't know who she is. She's Nikki Bella. She needs to stay in the WWE.
Listen, if the thing is, I don't think Bree wants to wrestle, but there was talk like if they could get them both to do a thing that would be cool. And I'm like, well, they don't have a tag, but blah blah blah, whatever. So,
a nice tag team between her and Bree versus Bianca Belair and Naomi. I'd pay money to see that. That's a pay-per-view I would actually go out and purchase. That match
could be, yeah. So real quick, we got to get into it because we're running long already. So Cody and Kevin Owens, who do you got?
Cody.
It's got to be. Yeah. Here's my thing.
I love Cody. Don't get me wrong, but it's too much money to turn down. His promos are great, and you're running enemies at him, lining them up.
I just think there's if you put it on Owens, like who wins the Rumble? Like does that make sense? So there's no. That's the thing that throws me. By the way, I'm not even 100% sure. I'm not even 100% sure. Let's back it up. That even with Cody as the champion, they're not challenging Gunther, whoever wins.
Ooh.
I think the winners, if it's Seth, I think he challenges Gunther.
I'd like to see Seth and Cody. Yeah. I think that might actually be my favorite pick if I had to pick. CM Punk is a scary variable. Braun Breaker is the one you got to be scared of. Bailey always has the potential to do it again.
So who do you got in the women's?
It's too soon to give it to Jordan Grace, but I'm going to have to give it to my main woman, Nia Jax.
Okay.
Unless they really just want to blow Charlotte Flair up, like
I think that's it. I think that's what they do.
We got a in our next big list down at the bottom of this. We talk about when a star comes back after so much time, and then they rebuild their career based on a Rumble win.
Yep.
So that makes perfect sense. If you really want to put somebody over, a Rumble win is a great place to start.
Well, it completely throws her back into the title picture. Like you can give, because I mean, are we going to get her versus Tiffany Stratton, or do we get her and Rhea Ripley? I say keep her away from Ripley for a minute and send her to Tiffany Stratton. That's my opinion. The men's Rumble, who you got? This is a tough one. It really is. This is a tough year because there's legit maybe 5, 6, 7 guys that you could be like, oh, it could be this guy. It could be this guy. It could be this guy.
Okay. We already pre-bought that Funko for John Cena's farewell tour. They've already released another Funko, or pre-ordering a Funko for John Cena's farewell tour. They probably would really like to have a John Cena Royal Rumble 2025 winning Funko and John Cena t-shirts for his farewell tour as Royal Rumble 2025 winner, I'd go ahead and just go with John Cena based on the money. If not, I'd put it on Seth Rollins as far as booking. But you've got too much. You've got too much on the table with John Cena to not go with John Cena. John Cena with Cody.
So here's my thing. I'm going to tell you why I agree that John Cena could be a good play. The other school of thought, however, is though if he wins the Rumble, then John Cena doesn't have to do anything between Rumble and Mania. So how about he comes up short? How about Logan Paul tosses him out from behind because he's done the sneaky move, tosses him out. Now you get Logan Paul versus Gunther set up. Now John Cena has to win the Elimination Chamber to get to a main event at WrestleMania. So now everybody has to buy because it's his last Elimination Chamber, just like it was the last Royal Rumble. Then when he gets to Mania, it's his last WrestleMania. Build those stakes at every single show.
Oh, man. You got me there. I really think you're probably right about that. I hate to admit it. But John Cena's done real good in the Rumble before, hasn't he?
Yeah, but this is it. I mean, I think how crazy is it if the 2025 Royal Rumble winner is fighting his brother on Max on a boxing pay-per-view, and he's bragging about it? Because after that fight, you can go watch him wrestle for the World's Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. So, I mean, it's a thought. I mean, it's out there. I get it. It's me overbooking.
Somebody's going to make a lot of money on winning the Royal Rumble this year. It might be more money that's ever been made by a Royal Rumble winner before.
It's crazy. It's wild and crazy. But speaking of new ways to try to find some money, AEW, the news came out, and look, it's probably one of the biggest clickbait articles that you're going to see all week. Everybody reading the headline and just all in. And I'm like, open the article, read the article.
I don't read the articles. I just read the headlines and form my judgments.
And it's like, so essentially, let's give credit where credit is due. Brandon Thurston from WrestleNomics is basically Amazon Prime is set to become a digital option for AEW pay-per-views in the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom. Look, before you ask, when? No dates are put out there. That's not the case. It's essentially basically what all they were doing is they did a bunch of research, and they found out as people were ordering through some of the other services, they were using Amazon Pay as an option. Mm-hmm. So they were like, well, why don't we just cut out the middle person? And because it's going to work essentially like buying or renting a movie on Prime Video. You'll go on there, you'll buy the pay-per-view, and you'll just pay on your Prime account. And because, you got your card. They got your card. They got all everything. That stuff stored.
I'm a huge proponent of easy. The easier it is to get Myron to buy it. If you put something for sale on eBay, I got to do something to it. If you put something for sale on Etsy, I got to do this. If you put something for sale on Amazon, I got to look at it. Amazon's got it on my door the next day. It's easy. It's easier than me logging into a Triller account because I'm always logged into Amazon. You find it there. They work with Max because I watch most of my cartoons, my DC cartoons, on Max through my Amazon Prime. A lot of people don't have cable companies anymore to buy it. So people who are streaming only and have cut back on streaming services, Amazon Prime's right there. If you have Amazon Prime because you get stuff delivered.
Like I've always baffled that some people don't know that. That like if you have a Prime membership, like Prime Video's included. Like I've never understood like people don't know that. And there's tons of free stuff on there. I'm like, it's not like you gotta buy or rent a movie or whatever. It's just like, no, you can just.
Well, there's another. I think Disney's coming there too, isn't it? One of the big ones is.
So a lot of the streaming services you go through there, the thing I don't like about them is you can't do the Black Friday deals with them. So that's why I don't go that route. You get hooked in and then you forget and it starts just chunking out of your Amazon card. And I'm like, I'm going to do mine out on my own.
And bingo, you bought all the pay-per-views for the year.
Yeah.
It's a simple deal. I don't know why they're not doing it on Max first, but I guess
I
Max
think
doesn't
it
have
will.
the.
It'll probably hit out on both. They haven't set the dates for any of them, so nobody
Well,
knows
Max isn't
exactly.
set up for sales though. Max is set up for subscriptions.
Uh,
Amazon sales. I bought some cartoons just on Amazon Video just the other
yeah,
day.
I mean they'll get there, and I think once they have that available across the board, it'll be the case. But of course, they are telling you out in advance. Max will actually have a discount if you buy it so it'll be cheaper on Max than it will be probably on Prime Video and all the other outlets as well, because they are absolutely cutting the middleman out on that deal because they own the streaming. Warner Brothers Discovery owns the service, so it makes it a little bit easier for them. But that's not the only streaming talk of the week, believe it or not. Chris Jericho was on TV Insider with Scott Fishman. Conversation came up, he is your current Ring of Honor guy. He's the champ. Talking about Ring of Honor in general. Brought up the idea of it being on a streaming service of some kind. And he's like, hey, Tony Khan's had negotiations. There are talks for Ring of Honor to be on a streaming service. I wanted to ask you a couple things about it. Like, look, the money's got to be worked out. If the deal can be worked out, Tony Khan will work it out, and it'll happen. My thing is, by the way, join the conversation, tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Send in your thoughts and ideas. I wanted to ask you, what service, because it's the easy answer is like it's on, they'll put it on Max. All right, well, let's take Max off the table. And I mean, clearly, I wanted to say clearly, but it's clearly Netflix off the table because of their deal, across the table, across the board with WWE. So if that's the case, what services are we talking about?
Give them some YouTube. Why don't they get a YouTube show that's monetized?
That's them doing their own on YouTube. He's talking about negotiating a bought, outright like a TV deal, but through like one of the streaming services. I'm like, which one is it that it's going to be on? Because YouTube doesn't count. YouTube's your own thing.
Well, it's not going to be Disney. I would think Max would get it just makes sense that Max would get it and just put it out there for free.
See, there's the thing. We just did 2 segments back to back for a reason. If they get the pay-per-views, wouldn't it behoove them maybe to put the Ring of Honor on Prime Video or something?
I'd love to have it. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I don't, listen, I had a lot of jokes. I asked somebody this question. They're like, Tubi, Pluto TV, some of the free ones. I'm like, no, it's got to,
complicated. I'm always of the opinion, if you have to explain something to somebody, you're already lost them. They should be able to just go touch. There's wrestling.
No. What if on Pluto or TV, it's literally I'm not even sure you're aware of this. On Tubi or on Pluto TV, they have a TNA channel. It's a channel. Yeah. You don't pay for anything. They also have a AAA channel, which is you can watch all the stuff out of Mexico at AAA on it. Like what I'm saying is literally, Ring of Honor have a channel right there. Like it's just one of their channels that you don't pay for anything. It's just, what if they buy the rights to just have it air on Pluto TV?
Well, where is it airing now? Because I don't know where to find it.
It's just on Honor Club. It's on the exclusive proprietary streaming service. It's the only place it is.
I'm really.
So I think somebody once told me there's somewhere between 15 to 20,000 subscribers, right? But that's the question you got to ask yourself. Let's do some general math while we're on the podcast because that's so much fun. It's $10 a month. I'm rounding up, folks. And let's say let's go with the minimum number. It's 15,000 subscribers. It's $150,000 per month. Nothing to sneeze at. But then we're going to do that for 12 months. That's $1.8 million. What if, hypothetically, folks, because think about it, that's 15 or 20,000 people.
Jericho's money is coming out of the AEW pot instead.
Who? What?
What they're paying Jericho is coming out of AEW instead of the Ring of Honor TV money.
No. What I'm talking about is if they have it on the subscriber service, they make $150,000. $150,000 because it's $15,000, $10 a month. They make $150,000 per month on the Ring of Honor subscription service. Yeah. Do that times 12 months, so they're making $1.8 million per year off of the streaming service. Generally, we get it. We're rough mathing everything here. Is it worth somebody like a Pluto or a Tubi or somebody with these channels, these free channels, to go? Think about it. NXT got $25 million. If they told them, we'll just flat out cut you a check for $1.5 million because guess what? Honor Club, there's some fees going to like servers, and all that straight, whatever. What if they said, hey, we'll give you $1.5 million to give us all of your Ring of Honor content on the Ring of Honor channel on Pluto?
I'd love to be able to go back and watch old Ring of Honor content if they have.
Well, because on the channels, it's just a 24/7 channel that runs nonstop. They could say every week at this time the new episode airs, but other than that, there's just old stuff on the channel. They're obviously going to repeat the new one too, but you get what I'm saying. They do it in blocks. The TNA channel does that. So it's just old stuff mixed in with new stuff and blah, 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 blah. Be a cool concept. Look, I get it. Everybody's chuckling because I'm even having a conversation about Tubi and Pluto TV, and you should not because it's actually a really cool service. I mean, I watch a ton of movies, ton of stuff on there, but it's interesting to say the least. I agree, but if Max wanted Ring of Honor, they'd already have it because they already have everything else. That's kind of why I was like, okay, let's say it's somebody else. I'm intrigued by the concept of them getting the pay-per-views on Prime, that maybe they backdoor the Ring of Honor into it.
It would be a good advertisement. I just like going to a streaming service and seeing wrestling. It's cool to me to see wrestling out there with other content on a platform that doesn't normally have it there. Because every time, it's like when you ride by looking for a venue for a show and you see a sign that says live wrestling here. Other people see the fact there's live wrestling here. You see an advertisement for wrestling. It's good for the business altogether. So, yeah, Amazon Prime would be amazing for it.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's like you said. I mean, I just think the concept of having it there, anyway, I'm a fan. Hopefully people jump onto it, and I hope more services pick up the wrestling in general. Now let's jump into something that's a little bit new, a little bit different. It is Royal Rumble. And look, this may become a regular segment. We're going to test it out here where we talk about something every week. Maybe we come up with top 10s or like more of the evergreen content, as it's like to be called. And to honor the Royal Rumble this week, we came up with a list. And look, these aren't ranked 1 through 10. We'll get there eventually, but it's the 10 Royal Rumble surprises, the entrances that we remember the most. That's just us kind of out there. I'm going to start at the bottom, Myron, and work my way up just for notes purposes because I think that makes the most sense out of all of them.
It does. I would think so.
So let's start with the first one right out of the gate. That is none other than in 2022. Yep. So not that, wasn't that far ago. Ronda Rousey does a drive-by, as I like to say. Came in, she kind of returned after she had that whole hiatus that she was on. And then, voila, she wins the Rumble, and she's back off to the races again. I think people were a little surprised that she was back after that long, that she was gone.
That was true. Also, winning the Rumble was the big shot to reignite her career, something that could happen to Miss Flair after this. The big thing that would put a great spotlight on a talent like Charlotte who's been away, or a talent like Becky would be the massive surprise. Who comes back. Yeah. Great for Ronda. Great for wrestling. I like that. Should be cool.
Next one on the list is Christian. And I'll tell you why this one made the list. 2021, he returned because he had been gone for years. He had the injuries with the neck and all the head and all that kind of stuff. It obviously led to him reuniting with Edge, having that whole stuff. So they had their big emotional moment. But here's the thing. It also ignited an opportunity that now he is in AEW. He's got a career. He's doing well. If he doesn't make that return, is he like that's it? Like it launched the part that he's still wrestling now.
It's confidence builder. Get out there and do it. Man, just get out there and try it, man. Look what it did for him.
I think it showed people that he could still do it. I think he thought. I think he knew he could. WWE was still kind of that resistance mode about having him come back, but once they let Edge come in, I think that kind of opened the gates. Because remember, it was Bryan Danielson, Edge, Christian. They had this wave of injuries that injured talents that they allowed to come back at one point. So that was kind of cool. So Christian 2021 makes the list.
And I missed this next one, and I regret that.
Chris Jericho 2013 returned at number 2. He had a feud with Dolph Ziggler there for a while. He lasted for 45 minutes. Listen, sometimes what we love is just we love the old guys coming back kind of just gives that nostalgia feel, gives it that little pop for, everybody, like the emotional hug, of like, yay. And that's kind of what Jericho did that year, and so, but look, I've been a fan of his forever.
Oh, I'm a huge Jericho fan, even old Jericho, the guy he is now. I'm still a massive Jericho fan. I'll always be. I remember him in WCW. I remember Ralphus. Anybody here know Ralphus? That was those were good times, and I still will always pop for Jericho.
Yeah. Speaking of pops, 2002, Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig returns. He had been gone for like almost a decade from the WWE. Remember, he wanted to wrestle. He left, went WCW. He's gone. Blah blah blah. He finally makes the big comeback in 2002, and did such a good return. He made it all the way to the Final Four. I think I remember like being stunned that he made it that far. Like I couldn't even wrap my head around the fact that he made it that far into the dance. But crazy stuff.
Heartbroken. I missed this. This was a really tough time in my life, and I was not following wrestling. Perhaps if I'd been following wrestling and saw this, I too would have had a big comeback. But Mr. Perfect was so amazing back in the day.
And look, it shows you how much we love nostalgia returns. Rey Mysterio 2018 is another one. And remember, like, he had been gone. There was we couldn't even remember the name of the company. Like, he had been gone for a long time, and there was like, oh, he was being teased about doing this wrestling at this new company, and it never happened. He wasn't tied with them, and of course, I think everybody's reality hit that company wasn't coming when Ray showed up at the Rumble, and we're like, oh, he back. Yeah, that company ain't coming. They're dead. But yeah, it's Rey Mysterio. Like, hey, what do you? We're not trying to we're mixed current in the list here, but they're kind of basically the new pitch is he's the greatest luchador of all time.
I mean, I'm not the expert on luchadors, but I mean, he's the one I'm most familiar with, and he's the greatest one I've ever seen. And he's Rey Mysterio, who's existed as long as I've been a wrestling fan. And he's older than us? Isn't he older than us?
Yeah,
because I'm 52, and he's amazing.
I kind of adjust what people say. I always say he's and what I mean by this, you'll know. Most people may not get it. If you don't, tapped-out-pod@gmail.com to the hate mail. I think he's the best, American luchador. And what I mean by, I'm not saying I'm saying the one that wrestles in America, because there are probably, I'm assuming, tons of luchadors that we never saw that wrestled in, AAA and except everywhere else, in Mexico that we didn't see that people could make a case for. And my answer would be ignorance. I never saw them. So yes, between your WCW, ECW, WWE, AEW, blah 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 blah. I know Penta's giving birth to one of the hottest heels of all. Yeah. So pretty cool. Rey Mysterio 2018. This one I actually experienced. Believe it or not, I was actually in the building when Triple H returned in 2022. He had returned. He had torn his quad and was out. And then basically, man, when I promise you, this is bad thing. My memory's I could tell you some stuff that's forever and a day, but I can't remember what arena this was. It was either, was it the Omni? Was it Phillips? Was it State? I know it wasn't State Farm. I'm kidding. I'm almost positive it was State Farm, or not State Farm, Phillips. I think it was Phillips Arena at the time.
Was that
but
even there?
What, Phillips? Yeah.
It was called something else, wasn't it, though?
No, I think it was Phillips Arena then when that happened.
I can't keep up with all these name changes in different buildings.
It went on headlined WrestleMania that year, won the Rumble, everything. Crazy. The reaction was probably in person one of the loudest receptions I think I've ever experienced in person. I mean, as far as in a wrestling show. I've been to Taylor Swift concerts, so I've heard crazier ones. I mean, I'm just saying, but actually, in a ring, that was one of the best I've ever heard.
Taylor Swift marks.
Yep. AJ Styles 2016, basically his debut. 2016. I'm trying to do all these off the top of my head, and I hope that's right. I remember maybe. But yeah, AJ Styles kind of when he debuted. This is the one. It's when he debuted at number 3 for the Rumble, and basically everybody just went bananas. That's why he couldn't be 1, he couldn't be 2, because then it would give it away. Yeah. But him being the 3 when the countdown happened.
Yeah.
let me ask you: is that when he became like? Did he solidify himself as one of the best in the world?
He was one of the world's greatest wrestlers, but people don't believe that until you work for WWE. There's that stamp that you can be some guy who's worked in Japan and worked all over the world, but until you work in WWE, you're not one of the greatest wrestlers in the world. And AJ Styles has had this amazing career, and man, having him in WWE absolutely made me very happy to see. Uh, Maybe we'll see him crossing over some Impact pay-per-views. Maybe we'll see a moment in the Royal Rumble where he comes back this year and he gets in with Joe Hendry. I would love to see him as a surprise entrant in the Rumble this year.
I don't think he's going to be healthy by then. Word on the street is I don't think he's ready. That's what a little birdie told me, but we'll see.
All those little birdies.
Yeah. Undertaker, the dead man returned at number 30. I believe that was 2003.
Yep.
He had been out, and basically that 2003 run he had off the charts.
Which gimmick was this? Was this wasn't American Badass, was it?
Nope, Dead Man, I believe.
Okay.
Yep.
I love the American Badass run. That was one of my favorites. But this right here was the year my daughter was born. Wrestling was not a big part of my life at the time. I do remember the Undertaker though, and I remember how big of an impact he had on me, how big an impact he had on wrestling. I wish I could have seen this. Well, what's next, Nick? What's our big one here? We got 2 more left to go.
Well, listen, we saw both of the. Well, I know we might have saw this one together.
Probably sitting on the couch, yeah.
Edge 2020 is when he returned. He had been gone for 9 years. He was forced into retirement. He was the world champion. He got forced to retire, and just kind of out of nowhere, he returned. I mean, people were just floored. It was like, again, he was in that window we discussed earlier, but with Christian, about it was just a run of like, we got guys back that we thought we had lost like forever.
Well, yes, they told them we'd lost them forever. We had mourned the loss of Edge and Christian. We'd never see them before. Their matches with the Hardys and the Dudleys were so important to my wrestling fandom, and we lost them. And I thought we'd never see them again. And these Royal Rumbles came back, and they're doing very well now, albeit for a different company. But it's amazing what a Rumble can do. And maybe Matt and Jeff, you think about it, maybe they want to do that second 18th lease on a career here.
Yeah, I want to have a conversation with you off the air about the Hardys. It's curious. It's just got me curiosity lately. It's got my brain thinking. But Edge, we absolutely lost. We thought we had lost him. It was great to see him return, but not the big one. The big one on our list. Obviously, you probably have guessed at this point if we haven't mentioned it and we're this deep into it. 2008, John Cena returns to Madison Square Garden. Triple H sells it like it's the greatest thing, and that's part of it. Kudos to Triple H, for selling it so well in the ring. Makes it even better. It's the iconic moment of Cena with his head down, arms crossed, music hits, everybody looks over, he looks up, got that smirk on his face, and it's like, oh, it's on now. And, of course, that one, though, that's one of the loudest ones I've ever heard on TV. I just wish I wasn't there, but I wished I was there for that one.
I didn't see it.
Yep.
No, I did see this one. It was very impressive. Gotta love how John Cena does those kind of things.
But you got to remember though, the reason why, look, people like, why do I think it's just the best one all? I mean, he had torn his pec. Like, he should not have been there. Like, he should not have been healed by then. That's the crazy part. He should not have been there.
But
he defied. He did Superman stuff and was back way faster than humanly possible. And by the way, it's not the only time in his career he ever did something crazy like that. He's done it a couple times. And that's why, in my opinion, to me, it's the biggest one that I as far as memory serves me, it's the top of the list in my opinion. So
fair list. Good job getting that compiled. I think it's 100% right. I can't argue with a single thing on there.
Listen, I mean, there were some. I mean, I had it at one point. The funny part, before I cut it to 10, I was at 13 and I was stumped. There were a couple in there that I was like, and I just kind of had to make I don't have them off the top of my head because I had them all, and I was like, just chopped them out of my memory because I didn't want to.
How about that crazy stat I heard last night where Liv Morgan was the runner-up in the last 2 women's Royal Rumbles? Now that's a wild one. There's all kind of stats. Who's listed the longest? Who's done
Maybe
this?
That's
who's
it.
eliminated the most people?
Maybe next week we do something like that. Maybe we do some of the craziest stats in Royal Rumble history or something like that. We'll have to definitely look into that. But listen, if you like the top 10 stuff and you like it, let us know, tappedoutpod@gmail.com. I think we want to do some more of that kind of stuff. Right?
Sounds good to me.
Well, and look, if we don't, and we just like, hey, let's just do every now and then, if you want to see some of that stuff, we can do stuff over, of course, on patreon.com/tappedoutpod. Get not only get the shows early, the bonus content, maybe like stuff like that. Maybe we can do some of these top 10 shows. I'm inviting wrestlers, promoters, whatever, maybe to do some of these shows with us, to do these top 10 shows. It'd be great to kind of go back and forth with them. Patreon.com/tappedoutpod. But hey, we understand. Got tons of viewers that are still our YouTube listeners at tappedoutpod.com on YouTube. Greatly appreciate. Make sure you're liking the page, subscribing to the page, turning notifications on so you don't ever miss an episode. But if you're a Patreon member, it's all right there for you, and you get those notifications every time we post something, whether it's show notes, whether it's get the show early, bonus content, all that good stuff. And so that's why we encourage and say the best way, in our opinion, to get it is at Patreon. And that's
the best way. Place. So easy to deal with, too.
Well, man, look, that's everything this week. We hit it almost onto the button here. Anything before we jump out of here this week?
I got a few things I want to talk about. If you are in the North Georgia area, I just saw where Nerd Jew Comics is having a watch-along party for the Royal Rumble. Look into that if you want to do that. Congratulations to Alexander Lev, not only for winning male performer of the year in Georgia, but for having an amazing show at Pro Wrestling Aggression. I thought that was excellent show with some phenomenal wrestling on it. He had a great match with Thomas Latimer. The awards banquet we went to on Sunday night, we had a lot of passionate speeches. Was so proud of Hold My Beer Hansen. So proud of so many people as we've watched their development over the years that we've been doing this. I don't know if I could express the amount of joy I saw seeing these young men and women become stars and stars of the future. And I appreciate them letting us be a part of that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well said. And look, if you missed it, take a deep dive. There were 2 things tapped in. We went through the whole list of the winners and kind of like shared our thoughts. We even shared like, hey, we made our picks the week before. We didn't get them all right. Go figure.
What'd you do?
We
like
just kind of. We did pretty good. I mean, we did pretty good. I mean, it wasn't too bad. But it's one of those like, hey, we explained like the logic in it. We kind of went over anyway. And then on Patreon, behind the paywall, I believe it is at the $10 level for some things that were said. We were like, hey, here's some things. We had some ideas about not only the banquet, the process for the awards and that kind of things, about very constructively, very positively, things that we were like, hey, maybe do this or maybe do that. Like, because we're always like, hey, if you're not improving, you're getting worse. So always look to improve in every way you can, and that's in life in general. So check those out again on our YouTube channel, and of course on Patreon.com is the best way because you can get those. That video specifically is a Patreon video. So let us know, man. Let us know all your thoughts. Tappedoutpod@gmail.com, man. Anything else?
I thank Melissa, my gorgeous domestic partner, for this hanker for a hunk of cheese shirt. I do love that so much. But no, thanks everybody. I appreciate you listening. I look forward to recording an episode next week.
What's the old saying, brother? If I've got nothing and you've got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.